Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I want to talk about signs that you know that you are an avoidance placeholder rather than the person they are deeply bonded with. I made a video very recently about that an avoidant is deeply bonded with you. And a lot of people were thinking, okay, if an avoidant deeply bonds with someone and it takes a long time for them to move on from that person, how do I know if I'm that person or if it's their ex? Well, the short answer is usually they don't act very avoidant around that person. It's similar. Think about it when they're with their friends or at school or colleagues, they act very, sometimes some of them can even be very social or very non-avoidant. And then when someone gets too close to them, then they start deactivating. And so normally it's the person, like a lot of their exes, maybe they were never that deeply connected with them, which is why they were able to perhaps get into that relationship without being so triggered. But with you triggered a deep fear that they've always had. And so usually that's the way to tell. However, I'm going to go ahead and talk about, I guess, 5-ish points today, depending on how much we have time for. But if you are concerned and you are curious, you can always book a call with me or you can email me. That's pinned in the comments. So let's talk about it. The first one is they've not made really much progress, not even a little bit. And I think a lot of people are going to think, okay, this is me because my avoidant is not making progress. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying even their like attachment issues. I'm saying like the relationship has not like made any progress. This is really hard to explain. So I'm going to try, okay? I'm going to use examples. I'm not talking about anyone's case in particular, okay? The emotions have made progress is a better way to put it. So let's say, for example, you guys had a relationship, it was really doing well, and then they broke up with you at 3 months, and now they keep coming back, and they are getting a little more emotional. They are opening up a little bit. Who knows? Maybe they like drunk text you and said they love you and they want to get married to you and they deny it, whatever it is. But this seems like regression, right? When you say it out loud, because it's like, okay, you were in a relationship, then you broke up, and now you're off and on friends with romance, etc. But the relationship, the emotion towards you, the bond has made progress. So it's very hard to distinguish this, especially if you are the receiver, because you're wanting more, you want commitment, you want like a valuable relationship, which makes sense. But I'm talking about their feelings. And so their feelings, sometimes it's going to look like they're deactivating or pulling away. When an avoidant is not triggered, they just are there and they're just kind of like just floating there. There's not a lot of, there might be promise, but they never follow through. They might be making a lot of grand gestures with this person, but it never does anything. Whereas with an avoidant where you're not the placeholder, they're fighting it like every day, every second. Whereas if you are the placeholder, they're not fighting anything. In fact, they might share and give whatever they can because they have nothing there that they're protecting. So if you are the placeholder, you will see the emotion and the range of emotions have made no progress. It is just that. It's a very hollow feeling. Sometimes people might describe it as that, or it might be that you never realize that they were never really there until years later, but you realize that the relationship was almost like a facade. The next one is they don't engage in arguments with you. Now, I'm going to explain this because it's also one that can be tricky. So it needs we need to go through it with a fine tooth comb. They're nonchalant. Not that they shut down, not that they get defensive, not that they even are saying they're overwhelmed, not even that they're criticizing you. They're doing none of that. They just don't care about the relationship. They just might sit there and say, yeah, makes sense. Okay. And it's not because they're not shut down or they're not annoyed. It's simply that they just don't care enough. They might even lie just to make you feel better, but they just don't care. It's not that they want to make you feel better, maybe, but it's more like they just don't care enough to care about the outcome of this. That is usually if you're a placeholder. The next one is, this one is really specific and I don't always see it. Okay. So they talk about an ex in a way where they need reassurance from it, or they're feeling angry about it, but in a way where it's very hard to distinguish. It's almost like they still want that person. Now, so this would be the placeholder or rebound, and the ex is the person they love. A lot of you guys, it might be the other way around, where you're the person they're in a relationship with, and their ex is the person you think you're afraid that that's the person they're bonded to. It's how they talk about their ex. If they talk about their ex in a way where it's really not much at all, Like maybe they might even say, I haven't even thought about her or him in years. They might say that. That is usually the sign that they don't really have feelings for the ex. Now, if they constantly are talking about the ex or they're needing reassurance from the ex, like about the ex, that might be a sign that they are still attached and you might be the placeholder. Okay, another one that's really tricky is this. This is a very specific case. I've only had a handful of them. And I'm not talking about any of your cases. Like if this case is familiar to yours, I might have gotten inspiration, but I'm not talking about you. Please understand, because I've had many of you guys with consultation calls, so I'm not talking about anyone specific. But this case is kind of a little less common, but it does happen. They almost treat their ex like a I don't know how else to word it, but like a buddy. But this is not a romantic relationship. So this is like they talk to their ex as if it's like a childhood friend. This one is tricky because they use the ex to keep you two at a distance because you're the one that they're attached to. So they might be completely fine with doing certain things with their ex, but they are very uncomfortable doing them with you. It's because it's almost like a colleague. That's how they feel that way. And it's because that relationship never was romantic. It was always which is sad for this person, by the way. This was always just a person they used for whatever reason, right? So they are the placeholder. And if you're that person where they remain kind of friends with you, but not in a romantic way, it's almost like a way where they're passing time. That is maybe more of a placeholder. Avoidants sometimes do this, where they might use an ex to pass time or to just use it as like a friend, not really as a romantic relationship. Never, ever does it cross bounds. And it's like the conversations are never deep. They're literally as if you're kind of wasting time. Like, you know how when you were in high school, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, or like in middle school, where you might be like trying to pass time when you're waiting for your bus. This is a very random moment, but that's what it feels like. Like you're just talking with anyone, or you're just you're just hanging out with whatever kids are there and they're just talking about random stuff. You don't even know who they are. Maybe you're just waiting, whatever it is, or it's like a fire drill and you're just with like random kids. You're just listening to them, just passing the time until the bus is there, or till your mom picks you up or whatever, or you're at the nurse's office. That type of situation is what it feels like when an avoidant is using an ex or a person as a placeholder. And so they kind of, if you are the placeholder, they show some emotion towards an ex, whereas if you're not, and you might be the person bonded, sometimes they just don't give any attachment towards anyone, but they have like a triggered emotion. So the placeholder is the one where maybe they have an emotion towards someone else and you're that person that they're using to pass the time. The next one is they don't have a single reaction towards your emotions. Like they're not triggered, they're not upset, they're not hurt, they just don't care. Avoidants are incredibly easily triggered by your emotions. I mean, a lot of times they might even tell you not to have emotions, that you're talking too much, this conversation's too long. Those are hurtful things, but they're still a reaction because it's very triggering. The next one is, this one is somewhat common. It's not always the case. They're very focused on bedroom activities. Okay, this is not always the case because some avoidants can only connect in the bedroom, but a lot of them struggle to connect in the bedroom. And so what I see is some avoidants who are very focused on the bedroom, they are able to do so because there's a less attachment towards you as a person. But be very careful about this one because there are some cases where they connect with you in the bedroom because it's easier. So if they connect with you in the bedroom because it's easier, you still will notice there's an emotion or connection towards you outside of the bedroom. If there is literally no emotion, no attention towards you at all, they don't care if you're sick, they don't even get triggered if you're sick, no trigger of emotion, they just are there for a physical aspect, you might be a placeholder. This one is a tricky video because everything is like really specific. So if you need to book a call with me, that's pinned in the comments, but I hope I didn't trigger anyone too badly because I know that this one is it's a difficult topic because every relationship is very different, particularly about this. But I made it because I wanted to help. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.